Welcome in. Catch the wave on the Fantasy Football Network. We're in the Wave Club right now. Joining us is my fellow brother Zach, full football craze. You know him, he breaks all the news. Catch him on Craze's Corner every Friday. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm excellent. We got some crazy storms going on outside, so if I suddenly just disappear, just know that I'm okay. Just inclement weather over here in New England.
Don't worry, it's pretty nice up here in Canada. We got sunny. Actually, it's kind of dark outside right now, but it was sunny skies all day.
Nice. Yeah, well, you mentioned that you are in Canada, so let's start off this excellent segment of prop betting with probably one of the best. I mean, aside from which we discussed a little while ago, Javon Holland and maybe Chuba Hubbard, Chase Claypool, Mapletron. Is the maple tree running dry here, or can we expect 4.5 receiving touchdowns? Because that's what Vegas has the line at right now. 4.5 over under Mapletron. Where are you going?
So currently, his first season in the league, he had 9 touchdowns. That was with Ben Roethlisberger. Obviously, last season he only had 2. So if you average those out, you pretty much get that 4.5 that Vegas currently has projecting. Some great analysis by Vegas. Just averages first 2 seasons. I'm not really sure what they got going on back there, but his yard totals have been kind of similar over the previous 2 seasons. Obviously, this offense takes a downgrade to me with Trubisky or Pickett as opposed to Ben Roethlisberger. So I would probably have him around that 4 touchdown mark. I think he'll bring it up a little bit, but I'm not sure he can get it over that 5 mark. So I would have him under 4.5. I like that line by Vegas. I think it is a pretty good line because it'll be 5 or 4. I think that's kind of around where he's going to be. I don't think he's going to repeat that 9 touchdown rookie season he had because I don't think the Steelers are going to be scoring as many touchdowns. But last year, he was just kind of out of it when it came to the rush down. Pratt Freiermuth emerged and Najee Harris was there. So I think he'll kind of get back into it, but not quite sure he's going to get into it enough to have that 5+ touchdown rate.
We mentioned Claypool has kind of started, the fun Canadian transition here. And we also mentioned Chuba Hubbard, who plays for your favorite team, the Carolina Panthers. This would be a great time to break down some Carolina Panther props here. Let's start with the most notable, arguably best player on the offense. He's waking up feeling dangerous every day, and that's Baker Mayfield. Vegas has the over-under set at 3,700.5 passing yards. Let's just say 3,700 passing yards, and 21.5 passing touchdowns. What's the outlook for Baker Mayfield this year? I mean, we've never really seen Baker be anything prolific other than that, the rookie season, I think it was, that he put up his real good stats, and then he had the playoff win in Pittsburgh, which was incredible. But what do you think he brings to the Panthers this season?
So I think he's definitely an upgrade over Sam Darnold. In comparison to Sam Darnold, he is a better quarterback. They kind of both were high, draft picks when they came out of college, but they both did have had their struggles. Baker was at least a part of a couple good teams in comparison to Sam Darnold, where he's never been a part of a good team. So when you look at that in comparison, Baker has shown that he can lead his team to wins. But the Browns also had a much better team around him than Sam Darnold ever has. So I think this is definitely a good thing for Baker to get his fresh start in Carolina. If I had more faith in their coach, I would say that over number on the 3,700 yards was probably definitely attainable. And that touchdown number especially as well, you said it was 21.5?
Yeah, 21.5 over under for passing TDs.
So he's only failed to reach that mark last year when he only played in 14 games. So he'll definitely hit that number this year if he plays in all 17 or 16, depending on how many games he actually is healthy for. But if he plays for 16 games even, I think he'll definitely surpass that mark. But unfortunately, I don't think he will play those 16 games. I think Matt Rule is on the hot seat, and that is something that I definitely value with this team, is the fact that if this team is struggling, Matt Rule has to do everything he can to keep his job. The Panthers have some tough games. They start off against the Browns, which Baker is obviously going to go off for because Baker Mayfield needs to show the Browns what's what.
Revenge
then they play
game.
And then they play the Giants, not a super hard team. The Saints, which could be a hard team, it's in division. The Cardinals, who knows what the Cardinals are going to be come midseason, but then you got the 49ers, the Rams, the Bucks. So that's going to be a really hard 3-game stretch there. From what I've seen all around, people expect Matt Rule to be fired anywhere between week 4 and week 16. So if the Panthers are really struggling against the Saints, Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams, and Matt Rule hasn't been fired, I don't see a way that they don't pivot at the quarterback position. Sam Darnold at least gives that extra. He hasn't shown us that he can win all these games, but last season, at the first 3 games of the season, Sam Darnold was winning games. The Panthers were 3-0 with Christian McCaffrey. They've upgraded their offensive line. So if Matt Rule thinks there's even a chance that Sam Darnold can come in and give this team a spark, he's going to do that because his job is on the line. So if Baker Mayfield turns out to be this quarterback that everyone thought he could be, he will definitely be over that 3,700 yard. But I am currently skeptical because I don't project him to play 17 games. So currently I'd probably go under on that set 3,700 mark, but I think the touchdowns are probably more likely to go over as opposed to the yards, because through his first 4 years, 3,700 yards, 3,800 yards, 35 and 30. So he's been, half and half there, whereas the touchdowns, it's already been 3 quarters that he's been over. So I take the over on the touchdowns and under on the yards if I was trying to hedge some bets and make some money. That's probably what I would do.
That's great, man. I totally agree. I like the 21.5 over, and I like the under on the 3,700. But at the same time, who knows? This could be a surprising team this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we go into week 6 and Panthers are 4-2. Just simply off the back that CMC can stay healthy. I think that's the biggest thing for the season, right? Just like you mentioned with the Steelers, their biggest thing is, hey, can our quarterback not kill us every game? Well, with the Panthers, it's like, hey, can CMC not kill us and actually be on the field this year?
Absolutely.
So, let's just, you just recently took him number 1 overall in the Launch League draft. A lot of talking heads will tell you to go CMC number 1, and the fantasy counselor will tell you to play in traffic if you pick CMC number 1. So where do you fall on that spectrum?
Well, yeah, as you said, I took Christian McCaffrey number 1 overall in the Fantasy Football Network Launch League. To me, being a Panthers fan, obviously that gives me that extra to take him over Jonathan Taylor. But listening to a lot of other guys, especially some medical experts, they expect Christian McCaffrey to not suffer from any of these injuries he's had over the past 2 seasons. His first 3 seasons in the league, he was active for all 16 games. Do I expect him to be active for 16 games this season? Probably not. But even if, we talked about this on Crazy's Corner, if he's active for 14 games, he's going to be the running back 1. That what he brings to this offense, he is this offense. What he brings in the receiving game is unlike anything we've seen in a while from the running back position. He's by far the best receiving back in the league, unless you count Deebo Samuel as a receiving back. But Christian McCaffrey is great through the air. He's also great on the ground. In his 2019 year, where he was All-Pro and he was the RB1, he had 1,000 and 1,000. And to me, I don't think that's something that's out of the question this year if he can stay healthy for at least 14 games. Baker Mayfield has shown that he likes to drop it off to his running backs with Kareem Hunt over the past couple seasons. Kareem Hunt has been good when he's been in the game, and Christian McCaffrey is much better receiving back than Kareem Hunt is. And Nick Chubb isn't there like he had. So Christian McCaffrey is going to get the Nick Chubb role and the Kareem Hunt role. And to me, that's extremely valuable in comparison to what we've seen. So I like Christian McCaffrey this year. He's got the highest ceiling of any running back. If there's any running back that's going to be able to set, records for fantasy football points this year, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey if he can stay healthy. He's the best receiving back, one of the best pure running backs in the league, and he is the focal point of this offense. He's just got to stay healthy, as you said. So that's my biggest worry, but the upside's there. So he was great last year, but Dante Foreman comes to the Panthers this year. I think there really is no handcuff for Christian McCaffrey because we saw last year Chuba Hubbard took over, and he had maybe 1 or 2 fantasy-relevant games. But outside of that, he wasn't good. Dante Foreman, we saw last year take over for Derrick Henry, and he was good when he took over for Derrick Henry for fantasy football. But when you mesh 2 things together like that, I think you're going to get, some running back 30 finishes. Probably get one every once in a while. That's better.
Yep.
But I really wouldn't want to handcuff Christian McCaffrey with either of them because in comparison to other handcuffs, Alexander Madison, A.J. Dillon, Darrell Henderson, you're really not going to get that value if Christian McCaffrey goes down. But one note on Christian McCaffrey, in his best season, 2019 season there, he only had 19 total touchdowns. And Austin Eckler last season had 20.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, if Baker Mayfield can improve this offense whatsoever and increase those touchdown numbers that Sam Darnold has, Christian McCaffrey could be great on the season this year. Just adds to his ceiling.
Well, 1,000%, and a perfect transition is another guy that's going to be heavily dependent on the quarterback play. A lot of people are hyped for DJ Moore this year, saying this could this be the year DJ Moore comes down with career high of 5 receiving touchdowns, so, and honestly though, over under is set at 4.5. I said it jokingly, but Vegas looks at it and says, no, we agree. 4.5 receiving touchdowns. That seems like a joke for a guy as talented as DJ Moore. I think I could get 4.5 receiving touchdowns if you gave me 33 seasons to do it. But yeah, with 4.5 receiving touchdowns, it seems like a no-brainer. I should be taking a second mortgage out and betting this, right?
I definitely agree. I think 4.5 is definitely within the range. He's had 4 of the past 3 seasons. And now he gets probably a slight upgrade at quarterback with Baker Mayfield. And even though he's just a slight upgrade at quarterback, he's going to be much better in the red zone. As we said earlier, the odds of Christian McCaffrey playing for 16 games is fairly low. So DJ Moore is going to be the number 1 target by far in those games where Christian McCaffrey misses. Even when Christian McCaffrey's there, it opens up lanes for DJ Moore. At the beginning of last season, we saw DJ Moore be a top 5 wide receiver throughout the first how many weeks he was the top 5 receiver, and then he slowed down when Christian McCaffrey got hurt and the defenses were able to, kind of focus in on DJ Moore. But Sam Darnold last year had an unbelievably historic low touchdown percentage, and Baker Mayfield can't do any worse. The Panthers were terrible when it came to the red zone, but DJ Moore this year should definitely see an uptick in touchdowns. Whether that comes out to him being able to support, being a top 10 wide receiver, he'll definitely have more than 5. He's had more than 1,100 yards the past 3 seasons. So that's definitely a prop bet I like as well, because I think he's currently set at, you sent me 1075. So He's had more than that the past 3 seasons. So I like that bet as well. He hasn't shown to me that he's going to get hurt so often. He's not dealt with that injury concern we've seen in comparison to some other guys at the wide receiver / running back position. Robbie Anderson's nothing special at this point. Terrace Marshall is currently hurt. Shi Smith has been showing out in camp, but he's not in competition for DJ Moore's targets. So I love DJ Moore where he is. And I think he could definitely hit the over on both that touchdown and that yardage mark.
Yeah, that would be a great season for DJ Moore. It's only been the touchdowns, right? I think even it's not even so much it's like a PPR thing. It's like the yardage is always there. He's just as steady as they come, and no real notable quarterbacks other than an aging Cam Newton.
Barely.
And was he even involved with that?
No, not really, because Cam Newton's – he had that big 2015 season, and then after that, he was kind of hurt and everything, and DJ Moore didn't start playing in the NFL till 2018. So he really got that, Kyle Allen, Sam Darnold, Will Greer, all that mess of a quarterback situation. So this is definitely his best quarterback.
He's a guy that feels like he just doesn't age. You look back and you're like, he's only been in the NFL for that long. Like, it's only been, 4 seasons? So yeah, that'd be a great season. I think we looked at it was Jarvis Landry, one of his better seasons that he had with Baker Mayfield. I think the stat line looked almost identical to a typical DJ Moore season. However, the touchdowns were up there, and I think Jarvis may have finished maybe like top 15 or something like that, which would be an improvement for DJ, who's usually hovering right outside the either 20 or the 16, 17 mark.
Pretty much, yeah, because the touchdowns haven't been there in such a terrible offense.
Yep. So hopefully Baker Mayfield brings, I want to see the Baker Mayfield that walked into Heinz Field and, won a playoff game. Granted that defense was, sick too, but I would love to see a redemption for Baker, so I'm kind of rooting for you guys in that aspect. If I see Sam Darnold on the field, I completely change. And, with Matt Corral going down to injury now, it's like, well, there you go. I think it's Baker, Sam, or that's it. There is no going to the rookie now,
Well, it's going to be going to PJ Walker, who's currently 2-0 in his career starts. So, as bad as he's played everywhere other than when he starts, he seems to win games when he starts. And I won't be I will not be surprised if PJ Walker is starting a game come week 15 or 16. Because both Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield have been through it, and neither of them have proven to the Panthers that they can win them some games.
Yeah, I mean, that's about right. Nice. Well, I mean, I wish you guys the best of luck this year, and you're actually going to see a Dolphins and Lions game. Is this true?
Yeah, I am. I was between getting a Javon Holland and a Jameson Williams jersey. I posted it up on my story at Pro Football Craze, and people voted for me to get the Jameson Williams jersey. This was back when he wore number 18. So I ordered a number 18 jersey from my jersey guy, and unfortunately, literally the day after I got the jersey, Jameson Williams has decided that he was switching his number to number 9, so I now have an extremely rare number 18 Jameson Williams jersey. So, Jameson Williams is going to go on to be this Hall of Fame wide receiver, and I'm going to have his original number, and no one's going to know what it means, but I'll be quite happy with it.
It's like when you see the Jordan 45 jerseys, you're like, what?
Yeah.
He wore 45? I mean, think about it. You have like twice the amount of number for him. So, yeah, I mean, I would have told you to go with Javon Holland, who's going to be a Pro Bowler this year. Lock it in.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Javon Holland. And being Canadian, obviously, you got to like him a little bit more.
Yep.
My sister's
full circle.
My sister's a huge Dolphins fan as well, so that's why I threw it up on the story. I love Jameson Williams. I thought he was the best wide receiver in this class. So I figured throw it up on the story. Whatever wins, I'll go with. And unfortunately, I mean, for Dolphins fans and my sister, she's quite unhappy that I went with the Lions jersey, but going to Detroit, it's always fun to cheer for the home team.
Hey, I tell you what, primetime Dolphins Lions, man, nothing like some classic Dolphins Lions games, man. That'll definitely get the blood boiling.
Jared Goff and Tua, it's going to be a great quarterback matchup there.
Something tells me that could be, implications for the division. You got it's nice because you got the Dan Campbell revenge game because he took over the interim head coach and actually did pretty good, and we were like, nah, we're good.
Yeah, so. It's just like the Raiders did to Rich Bisaccia this year, who he made them a playoff team, and then they're like, nah, we'll pass. Give me Josh McDaniels, who's proven that he can't win as a head coach. I would like him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, man. But I want to thank you for stopping by. You got to make sure to check out Crazy's Corner. You can find me on there too. We kind of switch spots here. But yeah, man, every Friday on the network. Make sure to check it out. Check out at Pro Football Craze. All the breaking news, the best NFL content. Yeah, man, and we'll keep these props going. We'll check in on our boy Baker, see if we can hit that 21.5. We'll keep an eye on DJ, see if he can get past that 4.5. And week by week, we'll kind of check in, and hopefully for you, these numbers will come sooner than later. But if not, it'd be interesting to see, man. So, any last words before I let you go here?
No, I just thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. As you said, we're both on either this show, Crazy's Corner. So you definitely want to make sure you're paying attention to each one every week, especially as the season continues on. Whether it's just your regular fantasy football advice or you're looking for betting advice, that's kind of where we split the thing. My show is kind of just fantasy football based. Zach's, which is this show, is kind of based on that betting aspect. So make sure you stay tuned for both. You're not going to want to miss either, depending on what you do. So they're both great shows. Check him out, obviously. Check his brand out. He's got his merch out.
Yes,
My
sir.
package will be arriving soon. You'll see it on, a couple episodes of Crazy's Corner in the
Oh
future for
yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, thanks again for having me, Zach.
Yep. No problem, man. Much love from our brothers up north in Canada. Have yourself a good night, and we'll talk to you, my friend.
All right. Talk soon. Thanks
Later.
again.
All right. Yep. We got my boy Fantasy FlowJoe joining us here. He's in the Wave Club right now. Catch the Wave on the Fantasy Football Network. Welcome in, bro. What's going on, man?
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you having me, man. Love the title, love the merch, and we talked about it briefly, man. I had to let my mom know, like, I had to buy a shirt so you can chill. So
yeah, I told you, man. All you have to do is buy the shirt. I let her know, but like respectfully, Yeah, yes, sir. But speaking of which, the brand is about Ocean State, which is Rhode Island, and it's funny we were just messaging, trying to be like, yo, bro, what's going on? Where you from? What's up? And you were like, and I was like, from Rhode Island. You're like, oh shoot, I went to college not too far from there. So you want to tell us about that?
So first and foremost, man, like I've been to Rhode Island a couple times. My boy was from Cranston. We went over that, Capitol Hill. So I know you guys do work over there. I know it's doesn't usually get the most love, right? It's not in the conversation with California, that's for sure. But yeah, man, I went to college in CT, man, Connecticut. Hold it down. I think they said it was in Fairfield, but it was in Bridgeport, and I had no idea how hood Bridgeport really was.
Shout out Bridgeport.
Shout out Bridgeport. So it was a great experience, man. I got to go to school for free. I got to see beautiful East Coast, and then I got to come back home where I belong. So it was an amazing experience, man. And so many good memories, so many good people. One of my best friends literally was from Cranston. Like I said, man, I just vibe with that East Coast flavor. And the best part, man, they're like, I'll be like, you guys have the craziest accent, right? They're like, bro, you have an accent. And I was like, wow, You guys are tripping, man. So it goes both ways, I guess. Everyone's an alien if they're not in their own state, So
Yeah, yes, sir. And I feel like coast to coast means we kind of like bounce off of each other. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I really dig the whole like Cali like chill vibe, and I think a lot of the Cali guys also respect like the classic New York kind of like hood rap too on top of it. So it's kind of like we both feed off of each other. But man, that's also it's a small world, bro.
Yeah, 100%. Especially you start talking hip hop, man. I think some of the best came from New York and Cali. So like. A lot of respect. You got to like the different styles, right? If you're a little biased, I get it. But, you have to show respect to where respect is due, man. And there's a ton of East Coast cats that get down on the mic.
Hell yeah, for sure, man. Hey, like I was telling you before, the last time I was out in Cali, we took a trip out. We did LA. I said we did the Tough Mudder in San Bernardino. And, bro, the whole experience was just crazy. Like, I'm telling you, even when we were flying in, bro, we were about to land, it just looked like we were in a different world, especially coming from here, bro. It's the smallest state in the world. You can get in and out of the state in 45 minutes. Like, you can't get off the highway in 45 minutes in California. So, it's a whole different experience, but it's so dope. And, the fantasy community kind of brings it all together. And so, like, here we are coast to coast. And I think it's speaking of the coast, I think it's a good time to talk about 49ers. That's your team. Is it red or scarlet? Like, is it red and gold? Is that what we bleed?
Yeah, we bang red and gold, bro. And, look, a lot of excitement about the season. I know we're going to segue to it, and I'll let you set that up. But, like anything else, right? Everyone is 0-0, right? The season starts fresh. Everyone has that hope. This is the year, right? Niners have been pretty good, but, look, man, I hopped on the bandwagon back in the day, late 80s, Joe Montana doing work. And after Steve Young, man, it was tough sledding, bro. So it's nice to have been able to turn the corner. We haven't won any chips. We've been pretty deep, but with our boy Trey Lance, man, I think this could be our ticket with the talent and depth we have on that roster. But as we all know, man, starts at that QB position, baby, and they're running the show. So if you can't get it done and do work there, especially in the NFL, man, your team is going to struggle and you're not going to win chips or games.
Yeah, man. It's exciting time to be a 49ers fan, and it's wild too because it's not like you guys have been in the dark for like 10 years or say 30 years, like the team mentioned behind me on the wall over here. So if anybody can relate to needing a quarterback, it's your boy. Trust me. Let's really get into it here. Let's get into some fun prop bets, individual stats here. some simple over-unders that are, kind of fun to throw in. Let's just say you have Trey Lance going up against, I don't know, I think you guys play Bears week 1. Is that's who's on the schedule, So maybe, you want to throw in a little extra something because chances are Trey Lance is going to come out gunslinging. But I mean, just to look back at Trey Lance last year, I have him down here 2.5 starts last year. It was the game for what I think he came in for Jimmy G, got injured. That was against Seattle?
And then he had the full game, I think, against Houston, right?
He had the crazy game against Houston, and then he also started against the Cardinals.
Okay.
Lost that game, but I just combined those stats. In 2.5 starts last year, he had 4 passing touchdowns, 598 passing yards, and 161 rushing yards. And that's in 2.5 starts, bro. I mean, you extrapolate that over the season, you're looking at 27. I basically just did a 17-game pace, 27 passing touchdowns, over 4,000 passing yards, and over 1,000 rushing yards. I think that would make him QB1. Is that QB1 numbers right there?
That's a season, bro. Yeah, that's a season.
So, it's kind of unfair to hold him to that standard because anytime you do a 17-game pace, like that's a little outlandish because you're not accounting for fatigue and injury over the season. That kind of wears you down. But, man, what a season that would be. And
he didn't even play that good in those games. That's the scary part, bro. Like that to me is when you talk about a ceiling, bro, I love that breakdown. I love the extrapolation, right? I did one of those for my boy. Shout out Cam Akers. We won't get too far into the Rams. But like, it's hard to base a full season on it, but like the numbers are what they are. And he didn't even play well. So I think, and personally, bro, I'm gonna show my true colors here. I kind of wanted Justin Fields. I felt like he was a little more polished. Once they took Trey Lance, though, I'm not mad, right? Because I saw the vision. Now, I think they should have went all in last year, in my opinion. I know Jimmy played well enough. We went deep, but it wasn't because of Jimmy. Like our team got hot. He moved the chains. I feel like Trey Lance could have been in a position this year to where we'd be like, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, like this dude is going top 6, 7 QB. So the discount might not last forever, especially if we reference those numbers you just talked about. And that kind of being maybe his floor, bro. So that's scary.
Yeah, he's without a doubt. He's got to be one of the best values for upside. Especially the quarterback position. I mean, we had a draft. I'll just kind of open it up real quick. We did a salary cap auction style draft a few weeks ago. And granted, we didn't have any preseason yet, so the Dameon Pierce hype wasn't so much there. A lot of the Trey Lance stuff wasn't so much there because he didn't actually take the field as a starter like he did in preseason, like we just saw a couple weeks ago. But $46 out of a $300 budget I spent on him because I just really believe that he's the next big thing for fantasy. I think even like you said, bro, even if he falls closer to his floor with starting a whole season, having to play the Rams 2 times a year. Like you said, the Cardinals defense is not that bad. Having to play them 2 times a year, I can see where there'll be little, peaks and valleys for his fantasy output. But man, I would be very excited at we talked about a quarterback. Man, it's not a bad transition to go from Jimmy G, who's Mr. I'll get you there. I just won't get you past that line. You may have somebody now, and a lot of those pieces are still there from that. It's not like you lost that many. You still have premier pass rushers. You still have all those offensive weapons. So I think Trey Lance is in an absolutely great spot this year. But let's definitely move on to another stat here that I think is going to be a little tough. Rushing yards, 500.5 rushing yards. We just extrapolate that. You're going to do 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
here's my money,
I'm
bro.
I'm taking a second mortgage and I'm putting this on this profit, 500 yards.
Exactly.
He's going to get that, bro. He's going to get that in 4 weeks.
So we better get to Vegas ASAP because that's going up. You know what I mean? That to me seems like such a gimme. To your point, second mortgage, you know what I'm saying? Kids college fund, whatever it is, I'm pushing it all in. Like this is the juiciest prop bet that I've seen so far on all of these. And this just doesn't seem right, bro, unless something catastrophic happens. Like he might get this week 8, bro, straight up.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And I might have to vet my research, but I think I checked him multiple times, and that's the DraftKings lineup too. I went to like RotoWire, and then RotoWire shares the DraftKings odds or things like that. And I'm same thing too. I'm like, bro, 500 yards. I mean, that seems doable for some, lesser quarterbacks. I can see Mitch Trubisky putting up 500, this year. So
don't sleep on Mitch, bro. He's a sneaky athlete. You already saw him running around. It's just when the ball leaves his hand, you're like, oh shit.
You're like, whoa, just keep running next time, Mitch. Just keep running. But speaking of quarterbacks that throw the ball and make you go, oof, man, what are we gonna do with Jimmy Garoppolo?
So some came out recently. Like I've never been a Jimmy G fan, right? Obviously, you have to appreciate him as a professional, right? What he was for that team when they drafted Trey Lance, he handled that situation beautifully. So respect to him for not making it an issue, not making it an Aaron Rodgers thing, not making it something that we've seen quarterbacks do in the past. Where and maybe he didn't do that because he's not that guy, right? He's just not an elite level player to where like, oh, you're coming to take my job. Like I don't think so, bro. So maybe he knew he was a stopgap, just a little bit of a placeholder. But apparently, since my man got paid, like he's been ghosting, he's been doing stuff on his own. I guess the surgery wasn't communicated to the Niners. So like maybe not this, I know he's a good looking dude, bro. That chin is nice, but maybe he's not what we all think he is, and I'm starting to question a little bit of maybe his character in that sense of like, why are you doing that to the squad? Ultimately, though, bro, I think we should have traded him when we had a better shot last year. We could have got a second or a third. If he didn't have shoulder surgery, I believe we could have maybe still got a third. Right now, we can't get anything, right? It's kind of like Baker Mayfield. Like, here, take him and we'll give you a pick,
Right,
so
right.
I think, if anything, we'll just keep him on the squad as a backup because there's no sense in giving up any more capital to keep him. I know he's a pretty big hit to the salary cap, if I'm not mistaken. So if that becomes a situation, we cut him, bro. Like, to me, there is no longer a place for him on this squad. And you mentioned it. I can get you there with this type of squad, but when it matters, bro, and that's the separator, right? Because no one cares if you made it to the NFC Championship. No one cares if you made it to the Super Bowl and lost, right? You need to win a chip or it doesn't matter. And he cannot do that. When the pressure was high, when the moment was big, he wasn't bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he took the L and so did we. So he can kick rocks, bro. I'm tired of this dude, and I just can't wait because talking about all these Trey Lance prop bets, bro, got me excited. I appreciate you, man. I think I love what you're doing, man. Your edits are fire. Real quick though, before we end this, I want you to talk to me a little bit about the jersey you got behind you and your boy Tua, because I've been known to hate a little bit on him. I don't hate him as a player, as a person, right? I'm a little concerned, man. He's a little soft-spoken. I don't know if he's a leader of men. I think, he has the weapons to do it. So now it's like, yo, you're either it or you're not, and we're about to find out. So tell me how you're feeling about that.
I can really see why the whole like the man part of the player is coming to question. And when he put out that presser after that first early part training camp, when I think he was being interviewed, and he was just like, Did you see that deep ball to Tyreek? And he was just like kind of like brush it. And it's like, bro, like miss me with that, bro. I'm not. You don't need to feed into that. You know what I mean? Like if I'm in his situation right now, I'm not saying a word. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going out there and I'm playing, and that's what he needs to do. For me, it's tough because obviously he's my quarterback. You ride for your guys. I ride for my guys. So no matter what, at the end of the day, I'm always going to have his back. But I think the one thing that kind of goes under the radar is really how bad our offensive line has been. Mm-hmm. Like you mentioned earlier about Justin Fields taking a 3-step drop, bro. Tua can't get the ball out from the center's legs, dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we are perennial 30 or 32. We are always hovering in that range the past 3 to 4 seasons with PFF as far as offensive lineman rankings. And you look at his number one wide receiver last year, besides Jalen Waddle, who is mostly just a PPR guy. I mean, he's throwing to Matt Collins. He's throwing to Mike Gesicki, who people are willing to throw off a cliff this year as far as just giving up on him. You know what I mean?
I think I dropped him, to be honest, bro. I'm with that. Like he's in line blocking, and it's not a good look. So we'll see.
And who's handcuffed to Gesicki as we throw him off a cliff? Devontae Parker. You know what I mean? Another guy that you're like, man, all these, you're going down the list. You're like, did we really give Tua a fair shot? And then now you talk about all the underlying issues with the owner, right? Like all the shenanigans going on behind the scenes. You're not even hearing about this stuff that's going on in the corporate side of the team, the Brian Flores stuff, like all of these things. Like, as you know, as a former player, there's more than just getting on the green and saying hike and throwing the ball into the painted part of the field. There's a whole lot of political stuff going on behind it. And I think this year we really cleaned it up. It's unfortunate what happened with the whole Tom Brady thing. I think that really kind of killed a lot of the steam we had. But you give him Tyreek Hill, you give him 2 great offensive linemen, you give him Chase Edmonds, who was our starting running back last year at times, Duke Johnson, Myles Gaskin, Solomon Ahmed. Like, these guys are practice players. You mentioned it for Trey Lance. If you want to have him succeed early, you got to put a running game behind him. He wasn't able to rely on that. Philip Lindsay's not getting the job done. You know what I mean? So I think with a whole cast of characters, an offensive-minded head coach, as much as I love Flores, I don't know if he's able to be a head coach in this day and age, as far as, running a powerful offense or being able to get guys that know how to run an offense. We were one of 2 teams. One of the only teams that had co-offensive coordinators. Yeah. So, and then for a guy in his second season to have 2 offensive coordinators, that's an absolute headache throwing to a guy like Matt Collins. I don't mean to go on this super long tangent, but that's kind of my reasoning, even besides the fan part. And I will at the same time also say, if he does not only take a step forward this year, but really flash at times like we used to see him in Alabama, I'm willing to give up with the rest of the world too, because you give him the offensive pieces, you give him an offensive minded head coach, and there's really no excuse at this point. So it's just it's basically it's a winning season for me, or I'm ready to move on, kind of thing.
And look, man, your head coach came from the Niners, right? So he's that dude. He's respected amongst the league. He's a little different, right? You watch him in interviews, you're like, is this fool okay? Like he looks like he's maybe blazed one too many. Yeah, bro. Weird. Yeah. So I don't know, but like he's put in some work and his resume speaks for itself. So I too am a believer of like, and sometimes maybe I overlook everything that you mentioned, right? O-line is a huge factor. Not having players is another huge factor. I know Jalen Waddle balled out. So you have to give people the benefit of the doubt until you can't, right? So I think this is the perfect year where you can't. So if he doesn't ball, you guys don't have a winning season. I can say I was right, but like I said, I don't hate him as a player, bro. Like, people think I hate on him, but to me, like you said, like, don't feed into it, right? Be a professional. Of course you can throw a 50-yard fade, bro. You're in the league, right? You played at Bama, like you did 1%. Work. You're a good player. Right? Mm-hmm. That shouldn't be an issue. And I know it's hard sometimes with the media, but I'm like, yo, this doesn't need to be. And then Tyreek too, bro. Like, I feel like Tyreek is feeding in to the same situation. Like, yo, most accurate QB I've ever played with. Like, saying all this stuff, bro. Like, no, man. Like, we all know it's a downgrade, but like, can the dude still be productive and win games? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, no one cares about our fantasy teams, bro. It's about keeping dudes' jobs, right? If we don't win, I'm going to get fired and I can't feed my family. So I think we always have to remember that. And I think Tyreek was doing a little too much. I made a post about that, him and Devontae Adams with your boy Carr.
Right. But, right.
Yeah. I just we'll see, man, to be determined. But a part of me hopes he wins, bro, because I like him because he's humble, man. He talks about faith and like there's a lot of good things about him. But ultimately, man, you need to be able to command a huddle and lead men who are making millions of dollars. It's a whole different thing, bro. Like, when money's on the table and it's a grown man and this is my well-being and how I feed my family, like, I need to look at you and know I can ride with you, bro. And if I don't, it's going to create some problems.
Yep. 100%. It'd be interesting to see, we're kind of, our teams are kind of in similar paths here. You got, obviously you mentioned it, a coach from San Francisco. We brought in all the ragtag 49ers running backs, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we're kind of on a similar path this season. We got to see what we got behind center. And if both of our guys can hit and show us what they've either shown, or, looking back at Tua's college days, tank for Tua was a total no-brainer back in the day. Yeah. Everyone was like, yeah, go ahead, lose every game, start the kicker,
Didn't you guys have to pay up for that, by the way?
And then here we go. Now we're paying for it. And we lost a draft pick next year and still couldn't get Tom Brady. So yeah, but no, again, bro,
I'll give you a hug, bro.
Yeah, bro. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I really do. I appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was dope. We were definitely going to do this again. The season is right around the corner. I'm excited. Yeah, man, good luck this season. I know I think we're in a couple leagues together as of right now. And just, when I get those dubs, bro, just just don't take it too hard. That's all.
Hey, bro, like I said, just quit hitting my mom up. We'll be all right. You know what I'm saying?
I got you, bro. Hey, man, I appreciate you, bro.
All right, Zach, have a good one, man.
All right, later.